Say, man, you see my crab cakes? Till I'm all alone. If you see my crab cakes, tell her things went wrong. Don't call on the phone and bring a black draw home. And some tartar too. I got some Louisiana hot sauce, a little tartar too. Come on, little girl, tell me what you wanna do. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. Them Maryland crab cakes are the best in town. So come on, baby, let's get Louisiana down. If you see my crab cake, have you seen my crab cake? If you see my crab cake, tell I'm all alone. Tell her I still love her, and when she come back home.
Now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calderon. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening. Hope you're doing all right whenever you're listening. Got a busy week schedule, busy show schedule, a lot of stuff going on. But first, don't forget the show's being brought to you in part by Cat's nationwide luxury transportation service. If you need a limousine, you're someplace in the United States of America, then you need to give my girl, Cat, a call, 202-351-7496. Just remember, she's my girl, all right? Just remember that, 202-351-7496. You're going to be making a move, but she's mine, 202-351-7496. And don't forget, Cat's nationwide luxury transportation service is the official limo service of the Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend gathering, which is taking place November 16th, 17th, and 18th. All I can say is get your tickets early. We got a lot of stuff going on for that weekend, and we had some meetings on that on Friday night, so I'll get to that a little later. But anyway, the show is also being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, these are the ones that keep me out of trouble. Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. Whether it's matrimonial law, real estate law, or will, if you need to know how to spell my last name, and, if it's criminal, whatever you need, man. You need some paperwork done. You need to sue somebody. Hey, you need to sue somebody. Go to Campanaro and Tomkovich and tell them that Billy C. said, I'll pick up your consultation fee. 845-221-4099. And, of course, the Halftime Bar and Grill, Route 9, South Glens Falls. Great food there, great people, great drink specials. What is it with you Irish, man? Or even, not even if you're Irish. Everybody tries to be Irish on St. Paddy's Day. My man Craig from the Halftime was telling me that St. Paddy's Day is the busiest day, aside from New Year's Eve, in the bar business, which I did not know. He was telling me that bus loads, literally, they had bus trips where people would go from bar to bar to bar to bar to bar all day long, starting at 11 a.m. on St. Paddy's Day. So congratulations to all you guys that are still with us from St. Paddy's Day. But, hey, if you're looking to get some good food, definitely go over to the Halftime Bar and Grill, 518-792-4869. And remember, if we're not doing a broadcast that weekend, and if there's an ESPN Friday Night Fights show on, we will be there. Now, maybe we can get my man Dax Khan to show up there this Friday night. I will not be there. I have another engagement that I have to do. But great fun there. Great fun at the halftime. Make sure you mark it down. We'll give prizes away. I met a new female boxer. I mean, she looked like she'll kick the crap out of me. But I can't wait to get involved with her in more ways than one. But, hey, I guess I can't. She's taken by my friend. But Halftime Bar and Grill, 518-792-4869. Before we get started, some sad news. My man Roberto Duran, his pops, his trainer, a longtime trainer, Nestor Espinoza, like a father figure to him, passed away over the weekend, 81 years old, and started working with Roberto Duran when he was 8 years old. So our thoughts, prayers, and condolences go out to the friends, family of Mr. Espinoza, and of course, I'm sure Roberto Duran is going to be a little distraught for the next few days, I'm sure. But sad note, kick off the show. But I'll try and follow it with some good stuff. This week's Blast from the Past, and my man Alex told me that it was requested from a listener. Randy Turpin, former world middleweight champion, also held the middleweight European and Commonwealth belts in the middleweight division, and also in the light heavyweight division. Randy Turpin will be our Blast from the Past. Our feature fighter, we're going to try to get to him this week, Terry Norris. He's not only a Boxing Hall of Famer for the International Boxing Hall of Fame, but also Billy C. Boxing Hall of Fame inductee this year. And our heavyweight spotlight is going to be on Tom Sharkey. And I got to double check. I'm pretty sure he's in the Hall of Fame. But Tom Sharkey, I just finished a book on him. Good stuff. Hey, listen, this week our musical guest, who it's sponsored by RadioSubmit.com, we're going to feature five of your most favorite songs, and definitely five of mine, the way I bebop around prior to our intro. And today's artist was Memphis Gold doing crab cakes. pretty bouncy tune. If you're interested in new artists coming up, check out radiosubmit.com. Programming note, there will be no live show on Friday. No live show on Friday, but all of the Fight Now viewers and all the radio stations will have a show, so fear not. But no live show on Friday, so you guys can sleep in. Guess what's happening on later today? It's true. It's true. The return. No, not the return of the Pink Panther. Not the return of that, the aunt or uncle that you just don't want to come over to the house. Not the return of the aunts because it's spring, no. But all along the same lines, the return of my man DaveMa Wilcox will be joining us a little later. We'll be talking about the shows that took place this past weekend, the fights that took place this last weekend. So I'm excited about that, and I'm sure he's going to be all excited since he's got to get up at, actually, he's getting up at the same time I get up every day, so I guess I don't feel sorry for him. As has been the custom the last several months, we like to read the emails from you guys. One little note, we're with the trivia questions and corresponding and stuff. There's a lot of places that we're available, to you guys, and we lost track of where everybody's coming from. So if you could take the time when you drop an email or if you make a post someplace or whatever, can you just let us know where you're watching or listening to the show? We want to start tracking a little bit of that stuff, and that would be great. And a little note about the trivia question. We've had several newer listeners from other vehicles answering the trivia questions, but the only way we can do that, we do have the one rule. You got to email those because we have had, close to the finish, photo finishes, if you will, of trivia answers. And they have to be emailed, and they have to be emailed at billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com, to be fair. And please, if you listen to the replay, or even if you're listening to your podcast 2 days behind, and you know the answer, submit it, because you never know. You never know. My man Given Quality says, Brooke will dominate Hatton, and you will see the skill level continuing to increase. He's ready to be unleashed versus the top competition, but his handle is to keep pussyfooting around. I hope his first huge fight will be against Amir Khan. And he spells it A and then space MERECON, which I like. Good move there. He says for the top spot in the UK, but if not, he should create some U.S. buzz by taking on the likes of Devon Alexander or Mike Jones. He also advises me to stay away from the race card issue. He says, you Italians don't know when to stop. You're always going too far with disrespect, whether knowingly or unknowingly. He says, no ADD here, and I'm a YouTube viewer. The no ADD was in response to a comment I made with some of the viewers on YouTube have a tendency to get a little ticked off that they have to watch the whole show. My comment is, you don't have to. And my man, Given Quality, says, hey, he's not. Don't clump all of the YouTubers as ADD. And I apologize. As far as the race card issue, man, all I was saying last week was racism sucks, and it comes from within. The bottom line is babies aren't born racist. They're taught to be. And don't you think we need to stop? That's all I was saying. And, if I wanted to be an idiot, I would say that this cut on an Italian's could be racist, right? But I know that he didn't mean it that way, and I certainly wouldn't take it that way, but that's the way people take it, and it gets a little too crazy. But I do agree with him. You got to be careful with that, because you never know. And, one thing, it's like emailing back and forth. You say something and people take it wrong. It's like, I know I have a tendency to email when I'm pissed off. And then I say things that whatever. It's easy to argue with somebody when they're face-to-face because you can let it go. But in an email, it seems worse. I don't know. As far as his comments on Kell Brook, he was right with that, man. Now, obviously, he submitted this before the fight, and he was dead on with that. And I agree with Given Quality that I do think he's ready, and I think they're waiting. I think they're moving him just like the United States moves the fighters, man. You know, you mentioned Mike Jones is a perfect example. He's being coddled a little bit. Devon Alexander, another good one. Hey, Devon Alexander kind of elevated his game a little bit in his last fight. So I'm ready to see Kell Brook fight any of them because, honestly, he's a little unknown here in the States. I mean, not to us because we follow it, but, you talk to a marginal fan and they definitely don't know. So thanks for the email from my man Given Quality, giving us some good thoughts on that, and I agree with most of it. But anyway, we got an email from Bajon Henriquez. I know I'm messing up this poor guy's name, man, and I apologize. But he says as far as the HBO commentators, they have to be replaced. During the Martinez fight, they were gushing over Macklin the whole fight until he got knocked out. Sergio's a seasoned vet who could take on an opponent, go to distance, and break him down. You saw the difference in conditioning as the fight went on, as Stewart and Merchant bantered about how Sergio was in danger of losing, and that knockdown was obvious trip over Macklin's legs. Lampley was trying to promote a Martinez-Mayweather fight the whole night. I will start watching Fight on mute. Showtime has better commentators, in my opinion. Showtime, my man Bajon, Showtime definitely had the better commentators on Friday night. I like that guy, Mike Crispell or Crispalli or whoever. I never heard him before, but he did a real good job. We all said that we like Steve Farhood. As far as the HBO commentators, the only real commentator that I had a problem with lately, and I don't disagree with my man here. I think that Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley have definitely ran out their course. Even Manny Stewart has become mundane, in my opinion. But the bottom line is, I'll take them any day over Gus Johnson. I don't need a commentator yelling and screaming. But I agree with my man here that you can't keep. The problem with Lampley, not so much Merchant, even though I've written some things about Merchant years ago. I thought he should have been gone, but. As far as Lampley goes, he's too corporate. Isn't that maybe the problem? He's too corporate. He's always talking corporate. And they were, Merchant said something kind of crazy about Martinez, but hold that thought because, I have some thoughts on Martinez that you guys may not agree with, most likely won't agree with, but that's going to come up a little later. And as far as the trip, I got to disagree with you because it was a punch. And his glove did hit the ground. Now, he wasn't hurt by any stretch of the imagination, but that was ruled a knockdown, and I think it was justified. As far as their feet getting tangled up, it happened 3 times in the first 2 rounds, and all 3 of the times Macklin went staggering back like he was hurt, and their feet had gotten tangled up. Interesting thing, and I was talking on the phone with Dax over the weekend, interesting thing about that was the first half of the fight. It seemed that Martinez was tripping up Macklin. But then on the second part of the fight, every time Macklin was in close, he was trying to trip Martinez. So back and forth there. I got to take a break. We got one more email. We'll be right back.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Roselli Enterprises. Roselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flow boys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Roselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RoselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the IBO computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the number 15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the number 15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at iboboxing.com. Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on LDL TV. That's right, they replay us. I just want to know where Dawn is. How come Dawn doesn't come to my place? You know, what do I got to do? What does a guy got to do to get a date with Dawn? You know? Come on, John. Hook me up, will you? I'm okay. I'll drink shots with her if I have to. You know, jeez. Anyway, make sure you catch us out. And speaking of LDL TV, we're going to be doing the French Invasion. That's right. This Saturday, live from the Cherry Blossom Festival in Macon County, Georgia. Is Dawn coming? You know, I mean, come on, man. How about Michelle, my newest girlfriend? You know? Jeez. Make sure you tune in on LDL TV. They're going to be streaming it as well on LDLTV.com and Ustream. The French Invasion, I got to get the updated card. Apparently it's changed a little bit, but we know the main event, Grady Brewer against Frank Hiroshi Horta, in a real nail-biter. We'll see what happens there. But I'm looking forward to it. Hey, if you're going to show up, if you need to get tickets for that, visit our website, www.billycboxing.com. Click the fight post. It's right on the front page. And if you show up there in Macon, Georgia, make sure you come over and say hello. All you got to do is say hello. Don't be scared. Don't be scared. You know, unless I'm hanging out with Michelle or Dawn, then just stay the hell away from me, will you? You know, I got to be making my move. You know, the old move. You know, like the big Fig Newton, that move. You know, but, you know, if you just come over and say hello, we'll give you a prize. And if I don't have one on me, I'll send it to you. So don't be scared. Come on over. We're reading a couple of emails. And, you know, I listen, as far as the HBO commentators, I just want to say, you know, the only thing that gets me, like I said before the break, is the fact that, you know, they're too corporate, you know, and that's my problem. That's my problem with that. And I want to know what they paid. I'm shocked that they mention Roy Jones Jr.'s name so much. I think Roy said, I'll tell you what, for every time you mention my name, I'm going to give you this much money. And both of them, Larry and Jim Lampley mentioned Roy's name. I lost count, man. I lost count. So they had to be being reimbursed per time they said it, you know. But anyway, one last email is actually a couple of comments by my man EQX150. He says, so one fight makes Floyd the greatest. This is a response to last week's. We had a listener give his opinion why Mayweather must fight Manny Pacquiao. He says, so one fight makes Floyd the greatest? Really? How did Floyd get to this point in his career? Billy, you're right. You're right. Put money where your mouth is. A lot of people want Floyd to lose, but they would not bet their hard-earned money against Floyd, especially after he bullied 164-pound young, strong Ortiz. And then, in his opinion, Manny Pacquiao lost to Marquez, despite the official result of that one. I'll comment on that. I don't think he's the greatest of all time. I think he's arguably the best fighter out there right now. Floyd and a lot of his followers think he's the greatest fighter of all time. No. That's not the case. Sugar Ray Robinson is, and many more are in front of Floyd Mayweather. But as far as today's fighters, I think it would be hard to disagree. I do give him credit against Ortiz. He did step up. He did fight a younger, stronger, bigger guy, something that I personally was critical of him about. So I give him credit for that. And I give him credit for Cotto. I know Manny Stewart was saying the other night that he's not really giving Cotto much of a chance. I don't know, man. I give Floyd credit for fighting Cotto. I think Cotto is going to have a good chance. I'm not saying he's going to beat him, but I do think he's got a good chance. So I do give Floyd credit for those last two fights. Manny, on the other hand, has been a little soft. He should have gotten a hotel room with Sugar Shane Mosley. They were touching gloves and hugging so much in that fight. And he even tried to do that with Juan Manuel Marquez. Yes, the fight was close, but it was close enough to have to agree with the judges on that one, EQX. EQX also says, if Pac is used to making X amount of dollars and he doesn't get a 50-50 currently from his own promoter, and Floyd is used to making X amount and keeps 100% of the revenue, why should they be paid as equals when Floyd took the years to build his business model and be his own voice, and Pacquiao still signed to a promoter? An owner and an employee do not get paid the same. EQX, listen, man, I love you, brother, but here's the thing. You keep missing the point about the 50-50. Floyd doesn't give a crap what happens to Manny's percentage of the purse. Yes, you're right. If they split $100, 50 of the money, 50 of that, if they split it 50-50, $50 of that 100 goes to Floyd, and theoretically it's all his. Now, he does pay other people below him, but theoretically it's his money. That $50 that goes to Manny Pacquiao, Bob Arum gets a percentage of it. Pacquiao's not trying to get 50-50 take-home with Floyd. That's impossible. There's no reason why he should demand that, because then he would be demanding, a 70-30 split with Floyd. My comment on the Floyd-Manny Pacquiao dream fight is that they should, gross 50-50 split, or I like the idea that someone made, 45-45, 10% goes to the winner. That would be a pretty cool move. And I think, I think you want to know the truth? I think that if they did that, Mayweather would get more credit for doing that than Pacquiao would. Think about it. Mayweather would get more credit, regardless of who wins. But, talk about trying to, compare yourself with the older fighters and being all-time greats and stuff like that. Back in the day, there was a lot of times when the winner took a bigger portion of the purse, and that would be something pretty cool if Mayweather approved something like that. That's just my opinion. But anyway, another interesting thing took place. Thanks for all the emails. Keep them coming. We like to respond to all of them on a daily basis. So if you have a thought, you agree with us, disagree, feel free to drop us an email. One thing they're saying in the chat room here is about the scoring. The bottom line, the bottom line is that the scoring with the punch stats is ridiculous. All of the commentators now, and I'm not going to blame HBO or Showtime or even ESPN, but they all refer to the stats too much. They need to. You guys all know, if you're new to this show, maybe you don't, but we had a big feud with CompuBox over a snitch that used to be on our show. But, the thing is this. It's a great little novelty. It's a toy. It's something that's not accurate, in my opinion, because it's only as accurate as the guy hitting the button. And quite honestly, if you're looking at some of those ring card girls, you're not looking at the buttons, or maybe you are. But the thing is this. They should be discussed after the fight. I don't mind them discussing it after the fight, but during the fight, it becomes cumbersome. It becomes you end up focusing on it, and that's why I personally listen to the show with the muted button. That's for sure. One other thing happened this weekend that was kind of strange. Unfortunately, Roberto Duran's trainer, we gave him the silent 10 count here. Nesta Espinosa passed away. But did you check out over in England that Herbie Hyde was having a party over the weekend? And apparently one of the people that was at the party, there was over 100 people there, was stabbed to death and got killed. And they're looking into the murder. They're calling it a murder. The kid was apparently in his 20s. They have not released any names. But apparently Herbie Hyde and his family, well, they went and hid. The Hydes are hiding because they left the premises and are claimed to want to stay away until this is resolved. So pretty wild happenings. What kind of neighborhood does Herbie live in, man? He has a party over with his friends and somebody gets killed. It sounds like a Columbo movie, if you guys know what that is. But anyway, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to talk about the fights, especially the Martinez Macklin fight. I might have some opinions about Sergio Martinez that you guys might not agree with, man, and I'm not taking anything away from, but then again, maybe I am. I did put a post up on the forum about it, and I'm going to talk about that, and also La Bamba Rodriguez. Now, we did get an email about, not liking the commentators, but one thing is for sure, they're very biased to the HBO guys. Now, we know that La Bamba Rodriguez signed an HBO deal, and they were pretty biased to him, and he was in there with an ordinary guy. So I got a couple of thoughts that we're going to be talking about in about 2.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio.
He would scoff at a stretcher, that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. From upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com. KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. And tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C, the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man. I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C, damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy, C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask you.
Wrong speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back
to Talking Boxing with Billy C on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have Fight Now right now on your sports channel lineup, then you need to call your local television provider. And I don't care if it's cable or satellite dish. Tell them that you want Fight Now added to your sports channel lineup right now. All the information about the channel can be found at their fantabulous website, www.fightnow.com. And I want to welcome the Fight Now audience just joining us. Now, you missed some of the emails, and I was drooling and talking in the chat room about I thought they were like the hottest ring girls I've seen in a long time over on the HBO show. And speaking about the HBO show, Sergio Martinez comes back in dramatic fashion and knocks out Matthew Macklin in the 11th round. At the end of the 11th round, Buddy McGirt stopped the fight. And I think eventually he's going to start to get criticized. Not that now, don't get me wrong. I think he justifiably stopped him. I mean, that fight went bad quick for Matthew Macklin. He just he looked like chop meat there after that round, and he was looking real good going into it. But here's the thing. I don't know. I mean, normally when the round is over, then they can't continue. It goes in the books as that next round stoppage. For some reason, I guess he did it fast enough, or there was another stipulation, and it hasn't been clarified yet. But remember, the referee is supposed, even though the bell rang, you couldn't be saved by the bell in any round. Even though the bell rang, the referee never told them to continue. He never said stop. He never said the round was over. And technically, Macklin's corner got in, so that's why they could be calling it an 11th round stoppage. But theoretically, once the round ends and you're in between, it usually goes to that next round. So, but neither way, it doesn't matter what the situation was. He lost. I don't know about you guys, but and here it comes. So Marky Mark has to be. Quiet. He's gonna be blowing his top right now. But Sergio Martinez. Now let me start off by saying I think Sergio Martinez is one of the top 3 or 4 pound for pound fighters in the world today. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think he is. My hang-ups with him has nothing to do with him. It has to do with Lou DiBella and the fact that they just have not promoted him correctly. And therefore, he's not as big of a name as he should be. That's one of my hang-ups with him. I think that Sergio Martinez is probably one of the best conditioned fighters in the sport today. Not once did I see him huffing and puffing in that fight. Now, yeah, it does seem to take him a little while to get going. It's like a big train, a little caboose, or a little train that could. Getting up steam, when they used to have to. Well, David Allen knows about those kinds of trains, but it's like he's got to get going, and he responds to when a fighter gets him or whatever the case is. But here's what I'm gonna say: the negative part. Against Matthew Macklin and Darren Barker, which ironically look like the same fight, and even the fighters look the same. He looks good against those fighters, and he gets away with fighting with his hands down and that darting in and out and herky-jerky style and all of that. And, the truth of the matter is that, with fighters like Macklin and Barker, these guys are brawlers, man. These are guys that come at you. They're not fleet of foot. They don't have tremendous hand speed, but they have lots of guts. And they do have some power, and they want to mix it up in there. And against fighters like that, traditionally, Sergio Martinez has looked very good. But when he gets in there with boxers, at least for the first time, and look at a couple of his losses against, of course, Paul Williams, and Carlos Quintana, both fighters that can box a bit, beat him. Now, granted, he came back and demolished both of them quickly. to avenge the losses. But my point is this: when and if. Now, I don't think that it's going to happen, and I don't think it has to happen. But when and if Sergio Martinez fights Floyd Mayweather at 154, or even Manny Pacquiao, all right, even though I believe that Manny Pacquiao is a little too small for Sergio, I'm telling you, as sure as I'm sitting here, that both Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao can beat Sergio Martinez. Because Sergio Martinez, when he fights with his hands down, will get destroyed. He'll get picked apart by Floyd. He'll get picked apart by Manny. You know, if he tries to fight defensively and tries to fight soundly, like he's done against boxers in the past, they will beat him anyway because that's not his strength. So as much as I like Martinez and as much as I think that he could become, which he should already be, a household name, and I know that he beats everybody in the middleweight division, I think his weakness would be to fight against a Floyd Mayweather or a Manny Pacquiao. I think he should go a different route. I think he should basically clean up the middleweight division and then call it a day. That's what I think. Unfortunately for him, Lou DiBella is trying to get one huge payday and stick him in there with either Manny Pacquiao or Floyd Mayweather. He agreed to take 80% less, I think 20%, 80-20, if he got a shot at Floyd. I don't think Manny will fight him. I think he's too big. But anyway, that's my opinion of Martinez. I'm not taking anything away. There's nothing more exciting than having a fighter come back the way Martinez did. Obviously, the fans enjoyed themselves at the arena. Now, the co-main event that was on HBO featured Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez against Donovan the Bomb George. You know, I'm a big Rodriguez fan. I like Rodriguez. I like Ronnie Shields. You know, they're all talking about this guy's national amateur background and, you know, how refined he is and everything else. I don't see it, man. I don't see this guy getting any better. You know, he rose to the top as a power puncher. He started getting back to his boxing abilities of late. And quite frankly, he's become boring and he's not consistent. He takes way too many shots. And a guy like Donovan George, who's a very one-dimensional fighter, let me put it this way. If the Bomb was laying the bombs on Rodriguez the way he did in the last round, if he started doing that in round one, I think he knocks out Rodriguez. And to hear the commentating about how he's ready to take that next step, and I don't know if any of you guys caught this, but did you hear Jim Lampley mention every single super middleweight's name except Butte? Like, are they that mad at him? Is HBO that mad that they say no matter what, don't mention Butte's name? I mean, he mentioned every other possible super middleweight to fight Rodriguez and doesn't mention Butte's name. I mean, come on, you can argue all you want who's better, Ward or Butte, but the discussion has to be made. Butte has to be mentioned in the super middleweight division. I mean, he's mentioning Carl Froch over Butte. So my point is this: Rodriguez doesn't have a chance with any of the super middleweights. I mean, just off the top, our rankings, I got them right here. Our rankings that we'll be updating. Scotty updates them either today or tomorrow, and I'll have them up on the site. You know, we got Ward first, Butte second, Carl Froch third, Miguel Kessler, who I think is overrated, but anyway, he's fourth. Robert Stiglitz is fifth, Glenn Johnson sixth, Abraham is seventh, Beek is eighth, Thomas Utensaten is number ninth, and George Groves, these are all current, they're going to be obviously changed, is number 10. I don't think Edwin Rodriguez, with the exception of maybe George Groves, I don't think he beats any of those other fighters. And I'm not saying that he can beat George Groves. I'm just saying, that's a closer fight. But all of those, off the top of my head, I can't see Rodriguez beating any of them. So I don't think he deserves to be discussed as far as, a top 10 guy. At least that's my opinion. How about this guy? and maybe some of you brainiacs in the chat room, maybe you could double check this, because I'm convinced this is an error, and I just noticed it. There was a heavyweight on the card. Now, we didn't get to see it. This is a guy that I can never pronounce his name, but they call him Mago. It's Magomed Abdulzamov, I think is how you pronounce his last name. And he knocked out Jason Pettaway, who was a heavyweight that they built up his record. He went into the fight undefeated, 11-0. Now he's 11-1. And he was knocked out in the fourth round by Abdulzamov. Here's the thing. Was this fight really for the WBC silver belt, which is their interim belt, heavyweight? Are you telling me that the WBC, who puts themselves above everybody, are you telling me that they made Abdulzamov the mandatory challenger now for the WBC? Because isn't that what the silver belt is? Was that a typo, or is he the silver belt heavyweight champion right now with 14 fights under his belt? You know, maybe some of these brainiacs can help me out here in the chat room. They're all tied into the internet, but nonetheless, he improved to 14-0. Shawnee Monahan, who still has not stepped up his level of opposition. Here's another one that Lou is deathly afraid of exposing. He's in the light heavyweight division. He improved to 13-0 when he won a close 6-round decision over Eric Watkins, who is 6-2 right now. Middleweight Kevin Rooney, yes, that Kevin Rooney, his son, Kevin Rooney Jr. improved to 4-1 with 2 knockouts when he knocked out an 0-1 guy at 1 minute and 27 seconds. Then he had to run back and get changed, and yeah. It's the vacant. It was for the vacant USNBC. See, that makes more sense to me. Thanks, Rob. See, I knew that they made a typo on here. He couldn't have possibly have been. Even the WBC wouldn't have done that. So my man Rob straightened me out there. Thank you very much. Also, Carl McNichols improved to 8-3 when he won his fight against Danny McDermott. Those were the only 2 guys that were Irish fighting each other on St. Paddy's Day at Madison Square Garden. That I found interesting. Also, there was a heavyweight, Thomas Hardwick. He improved to 5-0 with 2 knockouts when he won a 4-round decision over T.J. Gibson, who drops to 1-2. So that was that fight. Kell Brook looked pretty damn good, beating Matthew Hatton. Nobody is really shocked at that, but I thought Matthew Hatton would have given him a little tougher fight. But nay. Kell Brook's definitely ready to step it up, just like we were talking about in the chat room, or I was talking about with the other chat room there. Oh, but how about this one? How about Gregory Proska, who's an unbeaten middleweight? He was actually the Euro champion. Ends up losing a decision to who? Yeah, Kerry Hope. Nobody knows who the hell he is. 115, 112, 114, 113, and one judge had it as a draw, 114, 114. So, as our rankings go, the guy who beats the guy gets to replace him. So, we had some other fights, too, including the demolish. They're calling it a demolishment of my man Kendall Holt knocking out Timmy Coleman. Nothing but nothing. But I went 9 for 9 this week. We had 2 fights that one ended in a draw, which I'll get to right now because it was the Fragomeni and Bronco fight. They had to stop. Instead of having water in their water bottles, they both had Geritol. One was 42, one was 45. The fight ended in a draw because us Italians couldn't make a decision there. 115, 115, 114, 114, 115, 113. So, majority draw there. How about Rob Calloway? They call him the American, the All-American prize fighter. He went over to Australia and just took an All-American payday as he gets knocked out by Mark Demore. Also, Chavez, not Chavez Jr., but Omar Chavez improved to 28-1. Can you believe this guy's already had 29 pro fights? when he beat up on Emilio Julio. And then the WBA junior flyweight champ, Roman Chocolito Gonzalez, remains undefeated at 26-0 when he won a fight against an 11-2 guy, Manuel Dominguez. So that's what was taking place there. Also, we had Antonio DeMarco. He improved to 27 wins, 2 losses, and a draw when he made the first successful world title defense of his WBC lightweight belt against Miguel Mickey Roman, who's a decent fighter. I mean, it was an okay defense, but pretty much what we thought. And middleweight Raul Sazarez improved to 19-2 by winning a unanimous decision over J.C. Candelero. Those were all on Saturday, but on Friday night, I mentioned Kendall Hope destroys Timmy Coleman. I think Tim Coleman decided that was it, man. When that body shot, devastated him, I just don't think that he wanted to go on much longer. How about Omar Figueroa? Have you ever seen such a tall guy in Ramon Ayala not use his jab? I mean, this guy looked like he was uncoordinated. It looked like he was having he was doing the Billy C. Scotch dance after a night of drinking, before he even got hit. But anyway, the other 2 fights were totally boring in my opinion. Well, then again, wait a minute. You know what? I'm talking about the 2 fights that were on ESPN were boring, but the Randy Caballero fight, I thought that fight was okay. I mean, Caballero looked like this fight was going to end in the first round, but then that was it. He just seemed to not want to get hit. Even his pops was telling him in the corner, you got to go after him. You got to go after him. And Ariaza, it was a guy that just kept getting stronger and stronger and stronger after he was rocked a couple of times early on. And I just got a little disappointed. I think Caballero won the fight to improve to 14-0. But Ariaza, I thought it became a lot closer than the scores indicated. 2 of the judges had it 98-92. And the third one saw it 97-93. I just thought that Ariaza kind of positioned himself into a much closer fight. I think he lost, but 3 other fights I wanted to mention. Nonito Donaire's brother, Glenn Donaire, he improved to 19 wins, 4 losses, and a draw when he fought a 12-round decision over Omar Salado, who was a 2-time world champion. A 2-time world title challenger, 116, 112, 118, 111, 115, 113, all in favor of Donaire. We also had welterweight Jose Zapata taking out Sergi De La Torre in California. And Andres Fonfara took out his opponent, who was Brian Mitchell. And Brian Mitchell, former champ. Man, somebody's got to protect this kid, man. It's time they call it a day with him, And one last thing, as I try and hang up on Johnny Robbins here. We got to get this ready. I didn't even get it ready, but one other thing, we talked about this a little bit on Friday. Spinks, Michael Spinks' grandson, Leon the Third. He's 1-0 now. Now, I don't even know what weight class the kid fights in. I never got the weight class from anybody, but he won on Friday night. He made his pro debut, so we got the 3rd generation of Spinkses, and this one's a Leon Spinks. So looking forward to that. I'm just curious to know what weight class he fights in, but nonetheless, they actually picked a perfect opponent for him because he didn't get out of the first round. And apparently he's got some nice hand speed. He showed some pop, and maybe we'll have an interesting fighter to watch for a while, because his son Corey Spinks is smaller, and he's a little marginal. But a guy that's not marginal, a guy from the white country, the land up north, the Nord country. He joins us right now, Johnny Robbins. What's up, my man?
Billy C, how you doing, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. You sound like you. Are you sure you're not in this room? You sound. What a great connection we have. You know that. No wonder why they charge $5,000 a minute up there and with that phone company. But what's happening, man? What'd you think of the Martinez fight? What's your evaluation of Sergio Martinez?
I mean, there's a real big gap between the number 1 and the number 2 pound-for-pound fighters in the world and everybody else. And Sergio Martinez is at the head of the pack above everybody else.
As far he's ahead of the pack above everybody else, you mean?
Everybody else except for Mayweather and Pacquiao.
Right,
like they're so far ahead of the rest of every professional right now. I mean, those guys are so far ahead of the bunch that it's ridiculous. Their skill set, their
No, we just lost you, John. What'd you think? It sounded so good that we weren't going to lose you a couple of times. You know, with this piece of crap phone system we got here. But I'll give Johnny Robbins a shout back. You know, it's funny because now we got to reset it. Sorry, John, so hang tight. We got to reset this piece of shit. Yes, I said it. I know I'm going to get in trouble, but whatever. You know, the thing is that what we keep forgetting about with the pound-for-pound rankings is Juan Manuel Marquez, man. You know, where does he fit in? You know, some people have him above Pacquiao. I won't mention Alex's Papali's name, but Alex has him above Pacquiao, I think. I think he does. I think he dropped Pacquiao all the way in his own personal rankings. You know, he's a rebel. He doesn't want to join in with ours, but I think he's got him. I know he's got Marquez above. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm putting words in Alex's mouth. But hey, whatever. If I'm not going to do it, who else is gonna? Who else is gonna? His poor brother doesn't live close enough to do it, you know. But I don't know. I think Juan Manuel Marquez has to be definitely mentioned when it comes to pound for pound fighters. There's no question about that, you know. So. I can't wait. We got DaveMa Wilcox scheduled to come on a little later, so we'll probably be hanging up on him a few times as well. And you know, this is just great with this phone system. It's just great. Last week was pretty good with that. And Johnny Robbins will be back with you here in a second. The Chipmunks are having a couple of nuts, and you know, we'll get them rolling here in a second. Did you hear about Mike Tyson? You know. What's this Mike Tyson show that hasn't started? No, I was watching a Family Guy. Yeah, okay, I admit I like Family Guy, right? I love that. And I was watching a Family Guy, and they always make fun of Mike Tyson, you know. And they have him. No, was it? You know what? I think it might have been The Simpsons. It might have been The Simpsons. They're making fun of Mike Tyson. And he was like, oh, yeah, Mike Tyson wrestles an alligator. Mike Tyson wrestles a lion. You know, like they're making fun of Tyson. Then I see this thing from TMZ. Now, TMZ, as you guys know, TMZ, they got photographers everywhere. I'm sure there's a couple of them hanging out right here in this studio, and I don't even know. I didn't even see them. But, you know, the thing is this. They're reporting that his show, which he has in Las Vegas, the Mike Tyson show, whatever it's called, which hasn't started yet. That's all I've gathered from TMZ. I didn't even know Mike Tyson was doing a show in Vegas, you know. But he wants to bring it to Broadway. Did you catch that? That he wants to do the Mike Tyson show. It's called Mike Tyson Undisputed Truth. It runs from April 13th through the 18th at the MGM Grand. It's not sold out yet, which is kind of strange. You would think anything with Mike Tyson's name on it that would sell out pretty quickly, I would think. I mean, if I was there, I would want to check it out. You know, that's me. But anyway, he wants to bring it to Broadway. I mean, what's he doing? You know, talk about ripping a page out of yesteryear. That's exactly what they used to do. The old-time heavyweight champions used to, you know, win a title, and then, you know, they would tour around vaudeville acts and stuff. Now, this guy's not old enough to remember vaudeville, but I know David Allen was part of vaudeville. Johnny Robbins got you back, man. Sorry about that. His phone sucks. You know that. You were saying about pound for pound. What about Marquez? Where does he fit in the picture?
I've had Marquez on my pound-for-pound list for quite near a decade. And aside from Manny Pacquiao, who he seems to have his number, and, call them great fights, maybe some people think Marquez won. I mean, I know they were darn close, that's for certain. And for that particular guy, Marquez is like his Lex Luthor. That's the bad guy. But on the flip side, when he went in against Manny Pacquiao, against Floyd Mayweather, it really showed where he sits, with those bigger guys. So he really needs to come down. And that's why I really give those two credit, because pound for pound, I also look at your extension in weight classes. And I think Martinez is a guy that can fluctuate weight if you really needed to. So, obviously if the money's there. And I think he's up at the top of the class with the rest of them. I think Andre Ward and Lucien Boutte are two other guys that got to be mentioned in there. Somewhere in the list, you got to give the Klitschko's their due. But I really think Martinez has a skill set that can put him up there. However, you're right. He against guys that he should look really good against, he looks. It's hard to say, man. He looks against Macklin. The 11th round was a phenomenal round, but Macklin was in that fight, and I don't know if Buddy McGirt should have been stopping that fight that close on the scorecards. I mean, mathematically, the guy's still in the game. It's like pulling out of the World Series before the game 7. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but, he did he was starting to fade. He was definitely starting to fade. And, that's what I said earlier. I don't know if people are going to start to criticize Buddy or praise him, because he all of a sudden he's getting a reputation for as soon as his fighter gets in any kind of trouble, he stops it. I mean, let's face it, Macklin he started opening up. His face looked like... it started looking like chop meat, man. And he didn't argue too much then, and then he said he did afterwards. But I think he was definitely on his way out.
Oh, absolutely. But prior to those later rounds, it was a close fight, and I was surprised at that for Martinez at his level. But I mean, there was a lot of energy going on. It was St. Patrick's Day. You're fighting an Irishman in New York. I mean, a lot of things can happen, Bill.
Well, you know something? I was saying earlier, I don't know if you caught it in the chat room, but, I thought that Martinez, I hate to say it, and I put a post up in our forum, Martinez looks good against those kinds of guys, Macklin and Barker, but when he boxes, he has some trouble. And his two losses, one against Quintana and the other one against Paul Williams, in the first fight. Now, the beauty of Sergio Martinez is he came back and he avenged him in vicious style and in a vicious performance. But, when they boxed him and when he tried to box, when he kept his hands up and didn't, keep his hands down and fight like Roy Jones, he loses. And that's why I think that if he took that next step and fought Floyd Mayweather or even Manny Pacquiao, I don't think he comes out on top. But anyone else in the middleweight division or even junior middleweight division, I think he dominates.
He's definitely 154, 160. There's no doubt about it, and that's why when it comes to a fight with Mayweather, that's a really close one. Manny, I agree with you. I don't think Manny's people would take that fight anyways. Sergio's just too big. But he showed against Paul Williams, especially. The thing about him is he's an intelligent fighter. That's the same thing that with Floyd. Once he's been in the ring with the guy for a full fight, 12 rounds or whatever it may be, when he came back against Paul Williams in the rematch, after losing the first fight, it was a completely different guy. He learns from his mistakes, and he's able to excel really, really fast. And that really sets him apart from the rest of the class. I'm surprised because against the brawlers, you think he would look better, in my opinion. You think he would go in there and take these guys out earlier than he would the more elusive boxer. But, they stick around until the late rounds, and then all of a sudden, you can see the wheels fall off. You said it exactly. His conditioning is absolutely phenomenal, and that's another thing that you have to give credit to Pacquiao and Mayweather about. And conditioning really can make the difference in boxing. And not only do you need to have the conditioning, but you have to have the balance of the skill and the intelligence. And Martinez definitely has shown by avenging his losses that he has the intelligence as well.
Hey, John, I know we hung up on you a couple of times, so can you stick around a little bit? I got to take a break, but I might lose you, but I'm going to get you back, I swear, all right?
And why not?
All right, man. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift For the boxing fan in your life, log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TALKINBOXING.com. And place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out the ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Hit Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh?
What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. And you're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. And if you don't have the Fight Now television channel added to your sports channel lineup, what the hell are you waiting for, man? Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want Fight Now right now. It's that simple. Don't forget, every night is Fight Night on Fight Now, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out everything about the channel and what's going to be shown tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern by visiting their website, www.fightnow. And speaking of now, joining us from the Nord Country, my man Johnny Robbins. We're hoping to hang up, not hoping, but we're probably going to be hanging up on him a few more times. Sorry about that, John. Hey, we're talking about Martinez and all of that, but what about Edwin La Bamba Rodriguez? Obviously, he signed with HBO. They're talking how great he is. He should be in the top 10 and all this stuff. I don't see it, man, because, as much as I like Donovan George in terms of the style of fighter he is and that he's got guts and he likes to knock people out, he's very one-dimensional. And I think that La Bamba should have outboxed him and beat him easily, and he struggled at times. And honestly, I think if the bomb would have laid the bombs on him early the way he did in the last round, I think he takes Rodriguez out. What's your thoughts?
Agreed completely. I thought exactly what you were saying when I watched that last round. I'm like, man, if he had to come out with all that heart and just caution to the wind, knowing he was going to lose in the scorecards, because, that's the tough thing, right? You try to conserve your energy, you go in, you're a little bit conservative, and then you hit that last round, you realize, oh, no, and you throw it all out, and I agree with you completely. Had he come out with a completely different attitude, I think we might have had a different result. A lot of holding in that fight. It was an ugly fight.
Yeah, and that's something I also noticed in both of those fights. Now, who was Eddie Cotton refereeing? That was the Sergio fight, right? The Sergio Martinez and Matthew Macklin fight. Was Eddie Cotton the referee in that one?
I can't even tell you, to be honest with you. I couldn't even remember who the referee was.
Well, I'm sure
which is a good thing in that sense.
Right. I just want to say I'm pretty sure Eddie Cotton was the referee for. Was for the referee for the Martinez fight. Now, one thing I did learn, as soon as these guys, as soon as they got together, and not the Rodriguez fight, but the Martinez fight, as soon as they got in close, he would run in and split them up, only for the first 3 or 4 rounds. Then we didn't see anything from Eddie Cotton. I thought he did a fantastic job The only thing you got to watch out for with Eddie Cotton is he sweats like you would not believe. That guy looks like somebody's dumping water on him, and it's him sweating. But I think he's a great referee, and you're right. He's a guy that we didn't see too much of. I thought he did a good job. I thought all the refereeing was actually done pretty well over the weekend, at least on the televised fights.
Yeah, the best sign of a referee is that they're invisible. I mean, you really want to see two guys fighting, and the third guy shouldn't have to be there, but, keep things fair, and that's really what the referee's there for, is keep things fair, and, credit to the fighters as well for going out there and fighting.
Did you catch any of the fights from Friday night?
I did. Wow, man. You know what? I was watching Coleman. I don't know if he was joking or what was going on Facebook, and he was talking about how he got to the airport and got to the venue, and his camp wasn't there with him. They were looking for him, and I don't know what was going on, but he didn't seem too happy. And I was saying, you know what? I'll be honest with you. I think Kendall Holt's so much a better fighter in the first place. After seeing something mentally like that before a fight, man, if you got any money, throw it on hold. Anyone will take that bet. I wasn't thinking the fight was going to be over that quick, though.
Yeah, no. I picked Holt, and I actually because I do the at the Halftime Bar and Grill, we do the Friday night fight, so we're hanging out there with the listeners and what have you, and the owner says to me, he wanted to put a play in, right? So the odds all of a sudden they started off favored. See, I knew something was up. That when I checked in the morning, it was slight favorite for Coleman over Kendall Holt. By the fight time, it was Kendall Holt minus $350. That means you had to lay $350 to win $100. And I was saying, wow, something strange. But the other thing I thought was strange was the over-under was 5, right? And I said to him, I go, you know what? And he was getting 300, so he was plus 300 under 5. And I said, I tell you what, I picked Holt in this fight. I said, but Holt only wins early, take the under, and he hit it. So that didn't surprise me. What did surprise me that it ended, I thought it would end around 3-4 rounds. Not really, that fight was over in the first round. That body shot ended the fight.
Oh, mentally he was shot. Coleman was shot. I agree with you. There was some real Ali phantom punches going on in this fight, only it wasn't close. You could look at the replay 100 times. He clearly missed, and Coleman hit the deck at least once, if not twice, in that fight. So he was done. With getting hit or not getting hit at that point, it didn't matter. This fight was not going to go the distance.
Yeah, I think he's got to go for a gut check, Tim Coleman, because he certainly shoots off his mouth. But what do you think about Kell Brook, man? He goes in and takes care of business against Matthew Hatton. I don't think that was a surprise, but the dominating part, that was a little surprise. What do you think? Where does he go from here?
Well, that's the one fight I haven't seen yet from this weekend. I'm still downloading some of the fights and watching them. But one thing, it comes back to what you said about Rodriguez, and that's that you look at these guys that sign deals with ESPN. It happened with Ricky Hatton. They go in against certain guys. If it's a close fight, you know that guy's going to get the nod. And Matthew Hatton doesn't have the name quite as Ricky Hatton, but he has profited from it. So for Kell Brook to go in there and blow this guy out of the water, it shows that he's the real deal. Well, the
thing about Matthew Hatton is that, he had an okay performance against Alvarez. I mean, he hung in there, he showed guts and everything else. But I don't know. I think Kell Brook is ready. You watch that fight, and then we can get your comments on it. You saw the fights from Showbox. Did you see Randy Caballero? I thought that he looked good, but I also thought that when he was getting tagged, he didn't like it much, and his kill or be killed style kind of went out the door after the 4th or 5th round, and to me it looked like he was in survival mode. Even his corner was wondering what the hell was going on, and he didn't seem winded, so I didn't know what was going on. What's your thoughts?
That's another fight. There's 2 fights that I have to see, that I have to catch up on this weekend. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. The Caballero fight, or the fight you're talking about there, and the Kell Brook fight, these are fights that you pretty much know who's going to win them before you win them, so they're farther down on the totem pole. I'm just going to be honest with you. Most of the fights this weekend, I know you had a perfect weekend, not to burst your bubble, but it was pretty much all chalk all weekend, Bill.
Well, not everybody had a perfect week, so it couldn't have been. A lot of people picked Coleman over. These guys were talking about it in the chat room. A lot of guys picked Coleman over Holt, and I don't know, man. I thought that I thought that the other fight on Showtime, you didn't see it yet, but I thought the other fight on Showtime was competitive. Hey, some news that I wanted to ask you your thoughts on. Brandon Bam Bam Rios was supposed to fight Yuriorkis Gamboa. Gamboa was going to move up not one but two weight classes. You know, I love both of these fighters. They're probably two of my favorite young fighters out there today. I didn't like the fight for Gamboa. However, I feel that when a fighter signs a contract, just like in any sport, you're supposed to live up to it. Obviously, that's not happening. The fight was canceled, and now Brandon Rios is taking on Richard Abril. What's your thoughts on the Gamboa-Rios situation, and then, of course, now Rios fighting Abril?
Well, I'll start with Rios-Abril. That's not the fight that everybody wants to see. So, you know, it's unfortunate that everyone gets their hopes up for a big fight and that doesn't come to fruition. It's really unfortunate for the boxing community. I don't necessarily blame Gamboa. Going to your first part of the question, I believe Floyd Mayweather is involved in this somehow. It's not like the conspiracy theory where Floyd is this evil genius, but he can't stand Bob Arum. And freeing Gamboa contractually from Bob Arum, especially right before a fight like that, where Gamboa's the fighter, so Gamboa thinks he's going to win. He might be running his mouth off. He doesn't really speak English, so unless Arum's fluent in Spanish, which I have no idea, maybe he is, the amount of people that he's roped in from. But anyways, what I'm seeing in this particular fight is Arum was setting him up for sacrifice. He's saying to everybody that I was going to give Gamboa over $1 million for this fight. This was a phenomenal fight for him. Why would he do this to our company? Which means that Arum as well is going to make the most money off the name Yuriorkis Gamboa he ever made in the last fight with him, to move up two weight classes and be a sacrificial lamb to Bam Bam Rios, and whose stock goes up and whose stock goes down. And Mayweather Promotions is saying, you know what, I believe they're in the backgrounds. This is only my opinion. I'm not speaking this factually, but somebody is finally clued Gamboa into the reality of this situation and said, listen, this is not a smart business move anyways. Whatever the financial repercussions are, you will more than make this up by going on and having a more illustrious career if you can win, and that's where I think they're going to try to go with Gamboa. So I don't necessarily blame him if he's listening to his new management, who actually has his best interest at heart, because Bob Arum putting him in this fight in the first place was a lamb to slaughter. You know it, I know it.
Yeah, well, the thing is that the inside scoop is that his contract was coming to an end with Arum, and he wasn't getting along with his other promoter. He's got two promoters. The other guy's a German promoter. And, you know, they were both unhappy with him. And I think they both decided to team up and throw him to the wolves. And they definitely were. I mean, here's a guy that was a featherweight who claimed that he couldn't make weight anymore in Gamboa, and he wanted to move up. But, you know, he jumps up not one but two weight classes. But, oh, by the way, Bam Bam Rios is a lightweight that can't even make lightweight. I mean, he's moving up to junior. So you're looking at a guy that's used to fighting at 126 pounds in Gamboa. Let's say he can get up to 130 and feel strong. Let's even say he can get up to 133 and look strong. What's he going to be weighing? What's Rios going to weigh in at that fight when the guy can't even, he dries himself? He lost his titles on the scale. I mean, it just, there was too much. I think that was if he did in fact sign, which is what Bob Arum claims, then that's a different story. But if he didn't, I agree with him not taking the fight.
It's tough. It's in the business world. Even if you breach the contract, you have to look at the overall consequences, and you have to look at the pluses and minuses. And in a shady deal like that, I think it was the best move for Gamboa. Our boxing fans upset to some degree, but, do we really want to see a guy go out there and get massacred when we know he should be moving up in one weight class? And like you said, if you jump this guy up two weight classes against a guy that's way too big, who's one of the kingpins in the lightweight division, it's not like you're moving up and you're fighting, a top five guy and you're going to work your way to a title shot. It's like you're going in there right away with one of the biggest dogs that you could possibly, especially a guy like Rios, who's got a great chin. They call him Bam Bam for a reason. So, I don't know. Maybe he would have had a shot against Leon Spinks now that he's only had his first fight. He only fights at 140 pounds, just because I know you were looking for that bit of information. But I wouldn't move Gamboa up into fight no 135, or especially a guy like Bam Bam Rios.
Well, they call him Bam Bam because he's banging pebbles, isn't he? I don't know, but hey, we got the Canadian fight going on, Lucien Boutte, which I also found interesting that, when they were mentioning all the super middleweights that were, ready for Rodriguez, where Rodriguez was ready for, they mentioned all the names but Boutte. But what's your thoughts? Boutte, we all knew that Boutte and Froch were going to fight the home-and-home deal that they made. The first fight's going to be in England. The second fight's scheduled to come back to Canada. And HBO said, first Showtime says, no, I don't want it because, Carl Froch just lost our tournament. But, here's a guy that fought arguably the best level of opposition out of all. Actually, pound for pound, I would challenge anybody to find a tougher schedule than Carl Froch has had in the last 2 years than anyone else. So here's a guy that, he lost to Andre Ward, but I mean, a loss with his chin held high, with his head held high. And Boutte, arguably a pound-for-pound fighter, why wouldn't they be interested in it? And then what makes it even more fascinating to me, HBO doesn't want it either. What's up with this?
Somebody over there doesn't understand boxing, and probably everybody over there doesn't understand boxing, because the commentary that I've heard over the last few weeks has been absolutely horrendous, to the point where I'm turning the volume way down. I don't want to hear what they have to. I don't want to hear them breathe anymore. They're so biased with their own fighters. It makes me sick. Why they wouldn't want to sign a fight with a pound-for-pound guy? Maybe the only thing I can think of is their confidence in Boutte is so high. They think he's going to pound him so bad the first one. They don't know if Carl Froch is going to show up for the second one.
But they're both pound.
They don't want the doubleheader. I don't know.
They're both arguably pound-for-pound fighters.
They are. I'm not going to deny that. I mean, I think Carl Froch is a great fighter, and we still got to wait. Boutte's got to get by him to get to Andre Ward. So, I mean, regardless of who in actuality is the best, Carl Froch is still. They got to deal the fight, so he's still in the mix.
Yeah, well, I think Carl Froch is only going to fight these last two fights, and then that's it. I thought. I mean, I don't know.
I have no idea either. You need an insider from the UK. I know Lucien Boutte, and they're fired up, and I don't think they're looking past Froch, but they're definitely, they know the next fight after that is Andre Ward, and that puts him into legendary status potentially. I mean, if he can clean out that division. The last one, and it was more so at middleweight than anywhere, was when Bernard Hopkins had his run. And Lucien Boutte right now is on such a ridiculous streak. The only slight potential blemish was that late round fight in Quebec where, you had the fight was kind of stopped and everyone wasn't sure. And then he comes back out and he blows out Labrado Andrade for stopping a guy no one thought could ever be stopped. So, I mean, there's a big story there. And a huge story with Ward. Maybe that's the fight everyone should be watching, and maybe that's the reason the big networks don't want to reinvest in Froch. I mean, they have spent money on him. You're right. He has had one of the best performance records over the last couple of years of opposition that you could ask for in any sport. He's fought the best.
No, there's no question. One of the knocks on Boutte is that he hasn't. People question his level of opposition. I think Boutte is the best super middleweight in the world. That's just my opinion. And speaking of Ward, it seems like Ward doesn't want any part of Boutte. He didn't want to fight him. He did have an injury, so you got to put an asterisk next to that, And but now, even after the injury cleared, I mean, when they offered the fight, Boutte against Ward, Showtime offered the Boutte against Ward fight, and I think that's what Murphy means in the chat room, that they're trying to save his last fight of their contract to go Ward Boutte. But I have a feeling that Andre Ward is going to move up in weight before he fights Boutte. And one of the reasons why is because, think about it, who's going to pay? Andre Ward happens to be with one of those promoters that doesn't want to pay the big bucks for a fight. So who else is there? Does he have to move to light heavyweight to get more money? Or Boutte's got a promoter willing to pay for fights, so why not have the fight in Canada? I think that might be the hang-up. If they have the fight in Canada, HBO will buy it. Showtime would be interested in it. I mean, anybody would be interested in it, and you have a promoter willing to open up the pocketbook, and then they're not signing a fight. I'm thinking they don't want Boutte.
I agree with you, because I'm trying to figure out the same thing. I mean, if you move up to light heavyweight, you got Hopkins, who, he might be executed.
Hope so.
Dawson,
Hope so.
We'll leave him on the back burner for now. But Chad Dawson, Jean Pascal, those fights I know Lucien Boutte would definitely be willing to take if the super middleweight division controversy was settled. That's something that I know that they want to settle. They believe they're the best in the world at 168 pounds. Stefan LaRusse's trainer, they know they have a commodity in Lucien Boutte, and in Quebec, the fans love him so much. I mean, imagine what Lucien Boutte versus Jean Pascal would be like in Quebec City.
Oh no, I know. But my point is that, with Dan Goossen not spending any money, he might be looking at it saying, well, I could get more money at the light heavyweight division for a fight with Ward. See, that's my hang-up. Lou DiBella, Dan Goossen, they have guys. Goossen obviously has a couple, but let's say, let's look at Ward, and of course DiBella's got Sergio Martinez. These two guys should be the guy that other fighters want to fight. These should be the guys that other middleweights want to go after. Martinez or anybody in the super middleweight or even light heavyweight division would want to come and get a shot at Ward. But because of their, they're not agreeable to pay, they're waiting for someone else to bring them in and pay them. That's my hang-up with Goossen and guys like DiBella. I mean, they're not willing to write that check to get the fight. They're willing to bring their fighter to fight, but they're not willing to write the big checks. They want that to come from somebody else's account.
Yeah, and that's kind of tough in a sport to try to leech off the other promotions. I mean, the idea of the game is for everybody, involved to be doing this, and that's one of the things that's wrong with our sport, is because of situations like that. Even though fighters want to fight each other, the best fighters in the world want to get in the ring with each other, it's the guys that are sitting outside the ring stuffing their fat faces that are not allowing them to get in there to fight each other because they don't think that they're going to get enough grease off that fight. So like you're saying, let's just wait, and that ruins the sport. I mean, in every sport you have a championship at the end of every year, and in boxing we don't even know who our champions are. They're diamond level, silver belts. It's getting ridiculous, and the promoters are just as bad because they're the ones that want to throw a few extra bucks to say, hey, you know what, this guy that I made up that's 17-0 is now a champion. And if you look at who he fought, 15 of the guys had losing records. So there you go.
You know what else they're starting to do now? They're starting not to pay the sanctioning fees, and then they get the sanctioning bodies to foot the bill just so that they can use it as advertisement for the other fighters. So they're actually making more money. The sanctioning bodies are making more money with all these BS interim belts than they are with the main belts. Keep that one. Can you imagine that? But anyway, hey man, we kept you on. We didn't hang up with you. Well, that's good. We only hung up with you one time, and maybe you're going to pave the way. We're going to have the return of DaveMa Wilcox in a little bit, so hopefully we won't hang up on him too much.
Yeah, well, he's all the way out there in the West Coast. Before I run, Billy, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Some Canadian news, Arash Usmani, he won a fight in Atlanta, Georgia on the weekend, and another guy who fights out of Canada, Michael Zuski, he beat a kid, Joel Vargas, on the card in Atlantic City, New Jersey. He was expected to win that fight too. But the kid that Usmani beat, Chris Howard, was 14-0, and it was in his own backyard. So definitely keep an eye on this kid. I've been hearing about him since the amateurs. Arash Usmani, a big talent, and Michael Zuski, another big talent, also picked up a win. Hey,
what's going on? You mentioned Jean Pascal before. I haven't heard anything about him. I mean, what's the skinny on him?
They're going to announce an opponent for him in the next few days. I think Dave Spencer at a Fight News Canada, he's got his ear to the ground. I'm assuming that Russ Amber is ready to give out some information on that whole situation. But the Ismail Salak fight, it's definitely not happening. Pascal, I don't know why they can't. That's not a fight that they want at this moment. They apparently already have something set up. And Yvonne Michel, and he'll be making the announcement, of course, with the people that work with Jean Pascal, which is funny because how cool was it to see rival gear on Sergio Martinez and Russ Amber in the corner? I mean, if you're going to talk about Canadian boxing, there's another great story to see Russ's gear on, you know, a top 5 pound-for-pound guy in the world.
Yeah, I tell you what, everybody I talk to that uses the Rival gear, they love it, man. They really do. They like the gloves. They like the leather that he uses for the gloves and for the shoes. So I'm noticing them popping up a lot more here in the States. And I had a laugh when I saw Russ Ambers because, you know, Russ is a main trainer and everything else. And, you know, here he is, basically the water bottle carrier and for Martinez, but at least he was there. Hey, while we're talking, whatever happened to Troy Ross, man?
Well, he's waiting on the chance with Hernandez for the I can't remember which sanctioning body it is. It's the cruiserweight. I think it's the IBF cruiserweight world title. Hernandez got hurt in that fight with USS. I saw my battleship. And now that he's gone off into oblivion, the big fight with Troy Ross and Hernandez is basically on the shelf right now. Once he's cleared and Hernandez is able to go back into training, Troy Ross is the mandatory. He will be stepping in, and his next fight's for a world title fight. I had some people that were going on here. I tried to see if I could work Troy onto a card. Troy told me flat out, you know what, I would love to fight again in Canada, but right now with the IBF, basically I can't fight until this guy goes back into training and I fight him for the world title. So Troy's on the shelf, basically waiting for his opponent to get better, and then Troy's going to beat him back up and put him back on the shelf, hopefully, and get that world title.
There you go, man. Well, we got to get Troy back on the show, man. I love Troy Ross. John, I appreciate it. Didn't mean to almost let you go without you giving you the Canadian report. I mean, that's what you come on for. But it's always talk. I feel like I'm talking to you like we do all the other times when, you know, we're not on the air. So I forgot, but good thing you straightened me out there. Hey, one thing before I go, how about the Canadian report that you called me for? Oh, yeah. But anyway, great job, my man, and look forward to next week.
Bill, pleasure as usual, bro. You have yourself a good one, man.
All right, man. Take care. That's Johnny Robbins from the Nord Country and giving us his Canadian boxing report, even though I tried to hang up on him before he got his chance to, and giving us his thoughts on some of the fights that took place this weekend and some other stuff like the Bam Bam Rios and Yuriorkis Gamboa fight not happening. Instead, Richard Abril is going to step in and fight. You know, Richard Abril is, you know, he doesn't do anything for me personally. I mean, I don't think he's much. You know, it was out in the news this weekend, even though we reported on it middle of last week. But you know, it was official, and it was official when I talked about it here. But Eloy Perez failed his drug test, tested positive for cocaine. And is looking to be suspended. Not that he's looking, but he looks like he will be suspended from the commission where that fight was taking place. I believe it was the Mississippi Commission. And also his team dropped him, man. They dropped him after that. So Eloy Perez is looking around for a new team. But anyway, Juan Manuel Marquez is going to be fighting April 14th. A lot of people thought that he was going to be taking on a 42-0 fighter with only one knockout, Cesar Cuenca. But instead, they announced it in a press release over the weekend that he is now taking on Sergio Fenchenko, who's got 30 wins, one loss, and a big 13 knockout. So sounds like he's taking on a tougher opponent, but. Anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to take a break, and when we come back, we're scheduled to have, well, I guess we could call it a blast from the past. Maybe it'll become a regular thing again, but DaveMa Wilcox scheduled to join us in about 2.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
Mike Tyson looked like he put on some pounds. He was fat. He went into McDonald's and he just said to them, hey, give me 6 of everything on the menu. He put on 2 watches and covered 2 time zones. I'm talking fat here. Got on a scale the other day and it said, come on, one of you guys got to get off. Last thing I heard is that he jumped into the ocean and he left a ring around the continent. He's fat.
Boxing with Billy C.
The 2012 Summer Olympic Games unfold in 5 months in London. The honor and the history of playing host goes back a long way. How long? That's next on Sports Shorts with me, the Sports Princess.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Stouffer's, helping bring your family together with wholesome dinner options, even on the busiest of nights. Find dinner table ideas to bring your family together at letsfixdinner.com. To get kids involved in dinnertime conversation, ask specific questions, not broad ones. Instead of what happened today at school, try what was the best thing that happened today. The more specific you are, the more they'll have to say. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Legend has it that the Olympics go back to Hercules, but let's leave Greek mythology out of it. The modern games opened in 1896. Since Athens couldn't afford to put them on, a businessman ponied up the coin. Pole vaulting, weightlifting, shot put, and swimming, few of the handful of events. Since those days, some of the original sports remain. Others come and go, depending on the whims of the International Olympic Committee. Australia, France, Germany, and China have hosted summer games, and this will be the third time for London. As for the Winter Games, the U.S. has hosted them 4 times since they started in 1924 in France, featuring sports like alpine cross-country skiing, figure skating, and such. Between the summer and the Winter Games, there are hundreds of sports and thousands of athletes. You never know what city is going to get a crack at hosting next. I'm the Sports Princess with Sports Shorts.
Now back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in. Because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
Sweet Susie Q, she was a rebel. No angel wings, more like the devil. She was so hot, so cool, nasty. Believe it or not, here's what you asked me. If you need love with no condition.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C radio show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. If you don't have Fight Now on your sports channel lineup, you need to call your local television provider and tell them that you want Fight Now right now. For all information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. And speaking of now, he's back. DaveMa Wilcox joins us. What's up, my man?
Good morning, Billy C. How you doing, brother?
Well, I'm doing good. They're already bashing you in the chat room. They want to know. They want to know why you're not. Why you're not in the chat room? You know, they said, "Oh, Dave's probably making some excuse like it's 2:30 in the morning in California or something."
Heck, no, I told you, man. My computer's broken. I've got an iPhone, and that's it.
Oh, see, that's why, guys. So you just gave them the answer. So maybe they'll stop with the nasty emails they're going to send you. Hey. This weekend, Sergio Martinez, he fights Matthew Macklin, St. Paddy's Day, even though, well, we won't get into that. But listen, he looks great coming from behind, and it's exciting. I got to be critical of him in just a little bit. I say to myself, you know what? On fighters like Matthew Macklin, I'm not taking anything away because to me it was an exciting fight. I loved it. I thought the referee, Eddie Cotton, did a good job. Same thing with Barker. I thought it was an entertaining fight. But when you start looking at a little more experienced fighters that have better hand speed, I don't know if his hands-down style is going to fare as well as it does against the plodding, slower fighters. What's your thoughts on that and then the overall fight?
Well, you know, it's possible. But with Martinez, I mean, the guy, he's so darn good, Bill. He's got quick hands. He's got good power with that straight left. You know, I don't know will he have trouble against a fast guy like Mayweather? Yeah, probably. Anyone would. But I love Martinez, man. I loved that fight. I think it was great that he was, as you mentioned, he was able to have a little trouble. You know, yeah, Macklin is no Floyd Mayweather, of course, but he's got a lot of heart. He came forward. He throws a lot of punches. He's got a lot of heart. And, you know, I look at that fight as Martinez did great. I mean, it was a great performance. He came back from having a little trouble early, and he destroyed the guy. And what else are you going to do? I mean, every fight can't be Paul Williams. I mean, he can't knock everyone out with one punch and be on ESPN highlight films for 2 years. I mean, every fight is not going to be like that. And to me, it was a tremendous performance, and it didn't do anything to deter my opinion of him. I do have him number 3 pound for pound, and he's going to stay there until he loses.
No, I think that he did fine. I guess my only hang up is that fighting that way is great against the guys that he fought, like Macklin and Barker, and for that matter, any other middleweight that's out there. I mean, I think he does the same thing. But you're right. The name is Floyd Mayweather. I don't think that fighting that style could beat Floyd Mayweather. And then if he goes into a defensive style, which he's done before, he has fought traditionally with his hands up. And if you look at the two fights that he did do that, he lost both of them. He avenged both of the losses, and of course it was Paul Williams and Carlos Quintana. But I think if he fights like that against Mayweather, either way, it's a losing proposition. I don't see why they're waiting around for Mayweather. I would rather see him do what he did against Matthew Macklin and Darren Barker to every other middleweight in the division and just, go down in history as that. I mean, the conditioning is unbelievable. The guy wasn't even breathing hard. He came on strong like he had extra strength in his water bottle, and Matthew Macklin just started fading. And I thought that the stoppage was justified. His face looked like chopped meat quick, man. He went down quick, like from being competitive to it's over.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was kind of surreal. I mean, Macklin went from super competitive to all of a sudden it seemed like just in an instant. I mean, he was gone just because his face changed, his body language changed. I mean, he was a beat dog. His face is all beat up. It was a subtle beat down. I mean, it's one of those fights where you're watching and you're thinking, oh my God, this guy's taking a beating, and you didn't realize until like the 8th or 9th round because Martinez is so awkward and he's throwing those straight rights from our left. I'm sorry, from left field and it was fun to watch for me. To me, there's nothing better than watching a guy come back from a little adversity. And as far as Martinez and against Mayweather, Martinez is a big dude with fast hands. I mean, against Mayweather, I mean, maybe we're not giving Martinez a good enough chance there because with those quick hands and the size and the extra power that he carries, man, he might cause Mayweather a lot of problems. I mean, it's not like Mayweather's fighting a 140-pounder. He's fighting a guy who, sure, Martinez is a smaller middleweight, but make no mistake, he's a middleweight. Maybe he's more comfortable at 154, but he carries 160 just fine.
No,
I wouldn't even consider Pacquiao fighting Martinez because I think the size difference is too great. Mayweather can carry the weight a little better, I think, and he's a little bigger, but I think it's a great fight. I wish it would happen. I doubt it will. I think most likely we'll see Martinez fight Chavez Jr. and he'll continue on those types of fights because none of the big guys will fight him because he's too much. What do you always say? Risk and reward, right?
Right. Well, I agree with you that I think Pacquiao might be too small, but I would like to see him fight Mayweather. But here's my problem: I think that Lou is waiting too long for that fight to happen, and I would rather see him go after the other fighters in the division and basically clean up a division he's already got under his belt. Now, let's talk about the Chavez fight because, I was thinking about that fight. And when you look at it on paper and you start considering that Chavez has, come on, he doesn't have the ability, the speed, the brains. He has nothing over Sergio Martinez. But you know what he does have? The size. And if Chavez is able to get Martinez cornered against the ropes, in the corners and stuff and work on his body, do you think he could break him down?
No, I don't think so. It's almost like I just said regarding Mayweather and Martinez, how I thought, Martinez got the size, blah, blah, blah. Well, Chavez might have the size, but he doesn't have the skill. I mean, I like watching Chavez because I enjoy his body work. I enjoy that he comes forward and fights, but, man, he's just there to be hit, and I think old Serge will do paint a picture on his face, and it could be a pretty one-sided fight. But that's the fight that should happen. I mean, that's as far as what's available to him, because like we said, Mayweather's not going to fight him. But after that, and as you said with the middleweights, I'd like to see him, although this we know will never happen, I'd like to see him fight Sturm. But, Sturm won't leave Germany, wherever the hell he fights. And no way in hell will Martinez fight out there, because he could win every round and lose 117, 111,
Yeah, but you see, that's where I think that DiBella would let him fight out there, because DiBella is looking for the money. So if they gave him enough money to fight Sturm, which I don't know if they would, I think he goes out there, and he goes out there with the same attitude he did with Macklin and Barker, that he's going to knock him out, and he probably will. I mean, let's face it, I don't know if there's any fighter in the game, I don't care what weight class you're in, that's conditioned as well as Martinez appears to be.
Yeah, he's 37, Bill. I mean, shoot, I'm 44. I could hardly walk. You know, he's 37, and he's just a machine. And you know, he started late, and he's a credit to the sport because he's a really cool guy too. I mean, he doesn't speak English, but whenever you see him, you know, at the functions or whatever, he's a very, very friendly guy. He does a lot of charity work. He's good for the sport. It's a shame he doesn't speak English because he's costing himself a lot of endorsement dollars out here, anyways. And but yeah, he's great, man. And as far as DaVma, yeah, he's kind of a buffoon. But what promoter isn't? You know, at some point, the fighter has to take responsibility. You know, like you tell your kid, man, it's your responsibility. You know, you tell DaVma to make whatever fight you want, and you know, I can't imagine that the promoters have that much power. You know, you could speak to that better than me, I'm sure. But I mean, if a fighter wants to make a fight, make it. You know, stop blaming the promoters. You know, take responsibility for your own damn career.
Tell you what, from the pictures I've seen of your son, don't be mouthing off to him. He'll kick your ass in a second, man. You better,
damn right he will. I don't even have that mental advantage. You know you know how sometimes your kids will be, you know, they're just afraid of their dad a little bit. Nah, I'm so past that now. He'll beat me silly. They call me Macklin around here.
Yeah, the fight will turn quickly, huh? You'll be spitting.
I don't know, man. I could kick somebody in the. You know what's pretty good. So you never know. I fight dirty when I have to.
What was up with, speaking of protective gear, what was up with your boy Martinez's gear? I mean, it was riding up his back. Then he had the nerve to complain that Macklin was hitting him behind the back. I mean, how could he even touch any skin? That thing was up near his spine.
It was closer to it being a necklace than a belt, right?
It was. It was funny. What about the other fight, man? La Bamba Rodriguez and the Bomb, George. There's so much talk about La Bamba, and I like him. You know, I like Ronnie Shields, and I love the story. The poor kids. He's got the two kids. I remember Emily telling me all about that. He just doesn't seem like he's getting better to me, you know. And Donovan George is a one-dimensional fighter. And I said earlier that if George came out doing what he did in that final round, I think he stops Rodriguez. And to hear the commentators say that he's ready to take that next step, and they're mentioning names like Glenn Johnson and Andre Ward, and I'm saying to myself, this guy, he doesn't have a chance with any of the top 10 super middleweights, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, when I turned that thing on and I saw that Don George was fighting, I was thinking to myself, well, there must be another guy named Don George, because there's no way in hell that Don George that I know is fighting on a major network. I mean, he's, like you said, he's one-dimensional. You know, he's got some pop. He's got the charisma a little bit, but I don't think he's worth much, to be honest with you. And La Bamba, he's a good little fighter, like you said, and he won that fight fairly easily, like you said, because La Bamba, or which one's who? The Bamba, Don George, he didn't do much until the end, but Rodriguez is no way in hell ready for Carl Froch and those kind of guys. It's that wouldn't happen. But you know, that's like, as we know with our favorite announcers, they have a tendency to overreact to things.
Just a bit. And something that they definitely, and we were talking about it earlier, and they were saying it in the chat room, and I got some emails from listeners about the stats, the punch stats. I mean, you know how I feel. You know about that whole saga that went on about that. But here on this show. But, you know, the truth is this. At the end of the fight, to see the statistics, I don't mind. I don't mind seeing the stats and just, you know, FYI type of thing. And I don't even mind seeing the pictures of the dummies and where the punches landed and all that. But, man, during the fight, in between every round, I mean, we're being bombarded with stats. And I'm not sure that it's fair because, I mean, it doesn't work for me, but maybe some fans are being swayed who they may be thinking differently of what they just saw based on these stats.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, it's a whole culture of how they broadcast fights now. You know, for guys like everyone in the chat room, you, me, Scotty, everyone that's fanatical boxing fans, I don't really think we pay any attention to it because I know I don't. I like seeing what the actual numbers are after the fight. You know, after I see the decision, just out of a curious nature, but I don't play anything into it as far as how to score a fight or how I'm viewing the fight, because, you know, a guy could throw a bunch of punches going backwards, pity-patting, you know, shoe-shining a guy, and he has no ring generalship. He's not pushing the action. He's not landing clean, what does Harold say, effective punches. So, you know, the number of times you move your hands back and forth doesn't determine anything to me. But as far as the casual fans, I think people play a lot into it. I know when I talk to people that are not as fanatical about it as we are, they're always talking about that. You know, it's all they want to talk about is Punch Stat, Mike Tyson, and Oscar De La Hoya, because that's all they know.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of talking about things that I know, they had the hottest ring card girls I've seen in a long time on the Sergio fight. I was like, oh, my goodness, you go, Lou. I guess that's where he's putting some extra money in the girls, huh?
There's only one girl for me, Billy C. I was there to watch boxing all the way. I don't pay any attention to the girls.
I know, you're much better. You're a much better man than I. How about Friday night? Did you catch any of those?
Maybe I lie better. I don't know.
I'm not going to touch that because I know she'll kick my ass too. But Friday nights, did you get to watch any of those on Friday? Any of the fights?
I did. Yeah, I watched everything this weekend for a change.
Oh, good.
You know, I figured there was a rumor in the street that I might talk to you, and so I figured I better watch the fights.
Well, let's talk about Randy Caballero. He's been on the show a couple of times, and a bright spot in boxing. Everybody loves this guy. It was supposed to be a showcase fight on Showtime. And it looked like it was going to go according to plan in the first 2 or 3 rounds. I mean, he was just battering a Razor around the ring. But then all of a sudden, he started landing shots on Caballero. And Caballero's just, his whole demeanor changed. And although I thought he won the fight easily, he wasn't looking too happy in there for 10 rounds. And I just lost Dave Wilcox, so I got to get him back here. But, I said it earlier. And, that's the thing. I mean, how often do you see that when all of a sudden it goes against plan? Sorry about that, man. I'm sure
no problem.
You heard everything, right?
You there?
Did you hear all the question? Did you hear the question?
Yeah, well, I got you. Caballero, then he started taking some punches, and his face demeanor changed.
Right.
Yeah. But, similar to kind of what I said about Martinez, Caballero's a young guy. He's been blowing guys out. It's good for him to have a fight like that. That guy he fought I don't remember how many fights he had, but he's been fighting for 13 years or so on and off. He took a few years off and that. And he's a tough little fighter, his opponent. But I think it's good for him. It's no coincidence that he started changing Caballero about this, 6th, 7th round, where is about where he's never been before. I think he's gone 8 rounds once or twice. I don't recall off the top of my head, but it's just part of growing up, and it's good for him. He needs rounds. He won the fight, and that's what matters. And he's got so much skill. I like Randy. He's a really skilled fighter. Hopefully, he gets more fights like that here in the next year or so, as opposed to, he went 10 rounds, he didn't look good. Let's put him in against a couple tomato cans so we get first-round knockouts. Yep. And then, by the time he gets to the higher level, get a title shot or whatever, he's not going to fare too well. So I don't mind it. I think it's good for him, and I look forward to seeing him again. I'm sure he'll be on Showbox again.
Well, the right hand, like a looping wide right, was landing at will against him towards the end of the fight.
that was a little disturbing, wasn't it? Because Caballero, he's got really, he's an amateur. He's got a huge amateur background, and he keeps his hands up, and for some reason those right hands kept slipping in. I couldn't figure it out. But
and they were coming so wide, Dave. They were coming in so wide, and they weren't exactly lightning fast either. I mean, I was wondering why they kept nailing him as much as they were.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I just think it's inexperience. I think it's fatigue. He'll go back to the drawing board. His dad's a good trainer, and he'll be okay. He'll be fine. It's he's young. He only has 13 fights, and that's not a true 13 fights because probably 7 of them have been layups.
Yeah,
at least 7, probably 10.
Well, Omar Figueroa destroyed his opponent in 2 rounds, and my only hang-up is that his opponent, being tall and lanky like he was, should have been boxing, and he tries to go toe-to-toe. But I got to be honest with you, from the minute he walked into that ring, he looked like Billy C. doing the after 9 scotches walk back to the hotel room because he didn't look too stable in there at all.
Yeah, we call that the Tyson Shuffle in reference to when Douglas cracked him about the 8th or 9th round, and he did that little sidestep, like he was da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. But I love that kid, man. I love how he goes to the body. Isn't he fun to watch?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way you want all your guys to fight. I enjoyed watching him. He's good-looking lightweight, and he'll give anyone a go right now. He's a little easy to hit, so you get in there against better competition. I'm not sure how he's going to fare, but we know one thing for sure: it's going to be friggin' exciting whenever he's in there.
What do you think of Tim Coleman? You think it's about it for him? I mean, or do you think Kendall Holt is just back and people got to watch out for him? What's the deal in that one?
The pit bull, yeah, boy. I can't think of anyone that wanted to
He's
be
a
someone
schnoodle.
less than
He's
him.
a schnoodle.
He was not there. I mean, he couldn't wait to get out of that arena. But Kendall Holt has always been a top-notch fighter. I mean, I think Kendall Holt is a good opponent for anybody right now. He's got such tremendous power for his size, and he throws his punch so sharply. And you know, you got to look at his career. He really, you know, he's lost to a couple times, 2-3 times, but he's always done well. You know, he had that one fight, you know, where he avenged the dude, knocked him out quick. I can't think of the guy's name now.
Torres?
4 a.m. What?
Ricardo Torres?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. You know, and that was such an exciting fight. And that was kind of his coming out party a few years ago. And then he fought Tim Bradley well. I mean, he had Bradley down. He fought Bradley pretty well for the fight. And I think he's fun to watch. And I was excited to see him on ESPN. But then again, I'm excited to see anyone on ESPN as long as their name is like, you know, Tim Coleman or Jim Jones or, you know, Dave Thompson, because anytime there's like a Jose Luis Rivera or anyone like that, I got to listen to frickin' Bernardo Osuna talk like, "Hello, Billy C. My name is Bernardo Osuna, and I am watching Ricardo Torres."
That's right.
Pick a frickin' language and stick with it.
That's right.
That guy drives me crazy, but I digress.
When he does that, it's like
it drives me
Rico Ramos.
She's like, what are you yelling at? I'm like, the friggin' TV.
That's why I put the mute on, and it's gotten bad. And last week we talked and bashed Gus Johnson a little bit, and you know, to me, I don't want a guy yelling and screaming at me, you know, while I'm doing it. And as a matter of fact, I never listened, and maybe I've heard him before, but the guy who did the Showtime broadcast with Steve Farhood, Mike Crispalli or Crispal or whatever.
Never heard of him. It was the first time I ever heard him.
He did a good job.
I have seen him. I don't know. I must have been drunk or something, because I don't know.
I thought he did a good job.
I didn't mind him at all. I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
Because he toned it down a little bit. You know, he still had those little quirky, the voice thing. You know, guys are trying to, I don't know what they're trying to sound like used car salesmen or smart or what. But, you know, he had those little quirks, but he toned it down a little bit. I mean, like we talked about it with your buddy Gus. I mean, he's so awkward and inadequate, and he doesn't fit. You know, it's like watching Sesame Street, and they start singing, one of these things just doesn't belong here. I mean, because you got these classy dudes like Tarver and Bernstein speaking eloquently about boxing and explaining to a dummy like me what I'm seeing, and it's just beautiful what they do. And they get done with a sentence, and then all of a sudden Johnson's just like, and I'm not going to scream in your ear like I did on the phone the other day, but I mean, he just says things that are just so inappropriate and just does not fit the tempo of the broadcast. I mean, he's just so out of place, and it's painful to listen to, especially in contrast to the great Al Bernstein and Tarver, who I think is just really, he's really turned into one of the best at what he does, you know, and I just really enjoy watching him, and we don't need that third guy, especially on that broadcast. I mean, Bernstein has been the lead for many shows over his career. He could do it, and there's just no need for that flashy, screaming idiot.
No, I agree, and I thought that he ruined it. He ruined it, and I would rather let us watch it, you know, and talk a little bit about it, and that's it, you know. But that's why I've learned to mute. You know, I put the mute on. But hey, speaking of pit bulls, how's that killer Baxter of yours, man? Is he ripping up the neighborhood still or what?
Man, he's a terror. I mean, I say, Baxter, attack, and he runs to the other room and hides. I mean, he's afraid. A noodle, man. He's up to about 20 pounds.
He's afraid that he's going to hurt somebody. He's doing it for your own good, man. He doesn't want to be in the canine jail, that's for sure.
Yeah, your dog, from what I've seen and heard and from you say, what is it, Duke? It's a what do you call those things? The big old dog you have? He's like a mountain lion or something? What do you call him?
He's a Rottweiler.
Rottweiler, yeah. He'd eat Baxter for breakfast. I mean, Baxter's not as big. He probably takes dumps bigger than Baxter.
But he's a union guy. You know, at certain times he doesn't care what happens. You know, I mean, you know, the home robbers could come in. If he's not on duty, he'll show them where the valuables are. Not that there's anything valuable left in my house. I had to sell it all to, you know, eat and stuff. But
it's overrated. Eating, paying bills, it's overrated.
Yeah, it is a little overrated. But
hey, I love my schnoodle. You leave him alone, man. He's my favorite Wilcox.
I was just saying.
The rest of them I can give or take.
I was just trying to say hello to him. That's it. But
okay.
Anyway, Dave, loved having you back anytime, my man. You let me know, and we'll be glad to wake you up, hang up on you, all those things.
I appreciate you having me on, Bill. Thanks for talking to me. Not many people will.
Well, you know what? I get that, too. And I think it's after I have a few too many, like this past weekend. And, some people stopped talking to me, but whatever. It couldn't have been that bad.
No, I appreciate it, man. I had a lot of fun. It's good to be back. Thanks again.
Well, good. We look forward to next time.
Later.
All right, ciao. That's my man Dave Wilcox, DaveMa Wilcox to be exact. And calling us, I called him. He's in California, so he had to wake up early. Just want to remind everybody, don't forget, this Friday we will not be doing a live broadcast here out of the Billy C studio, but you will be getting a show on the Fight Now television channel and, of course, all of the radio affiliates, so fear not. The podcasters, well, you're not going to get a show. You're not getting a show on Friday, but that's it. Another thing I want to remind you, the French Invasion, Saturday, March 24th. Tune in on LDL TV. We will be streaming, too, on LDLTV.com and also Ustream. And if you have a website, own a website, work for a website, or visit a website, and you want to get the code to have that embedded for free and play it, the whole broadcast of that event, email me. You got to do this before Wednesday, and I'll give you the code. They sent me the code to give out. It's for free. And the broadcast will be for free for anyone in the United States. As a matter of fact, I think you can get it for free anywhere in the world except France. So if you're looking to get that, email me, billy@talkingboxing.com. Or if you're going to watch it, just tune in 8 p.m. Saturday on LDL TV, Ustream, all those other places. Another thing I want to remind you real quick, my man Harold Letterman, a good friend of mine, he's asked me to come. He's getting in the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame, so he asked me to come and support him, which I'm going to do. It's next Sunday, not this Sunday coming up, but April 1st, Sunday. So I want you guys to come too, man, and enjoy the dinner, the first New York State Boxing Hall of Fame, and support my friend Harold Letterman. He would appreciate it. It means a lot to him. So if you're looking to get some tickets, here's what you got to do. You got to email or visit their website for the email address. It's www.ring8ny.com. That's ring, the number 8ny.com. Tell them Billy C sent you, and that I said that you should get a discount because I sent you, and you'll get one there. So make sure you do that. And one other thing I want to remind everybody, Chris Algieri's become a fan favorite, not only in the state of New York, but in other places as well. But Huntington, Long Island is where he does really well. He sells out at the Paramount Theater in Huntington. And here's the thing. He's fighting again on March 31st. And you should get tickets now because the last 3 times he's been there, he's sold out. So if you're interested in getting tickets like you can for any show that we support, visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the fight poster, which is right there on the front page. So make sure you do that right now.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
All right, now, just a reminder one more time. If you're answering these trivia questions, which we have a really great prize on the line for this one, it's your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. This is a simulation game. It's great. You can check out information on it by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and on the left side of the page there, you'll see a banner. Click it. The game costs like $40 or $50, and you can get it if you know this answer. Who fought the most fights between 1910 and 1919? Here's the only rule about our trivia question. You can answer it, and I recommend that you answer it anytime you know the answer or think you know the answer, but you have to email it, and you have to email it to Billy@talkingboxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com, because we timestamp the answers. So if there's ever a discrepancy of who got the answer first, that's why. So don't think that you're already behind if you're listening to the show a day behind or you're watching it someplace else. The bottom line is always answer it. Email me. And Title Bout Championship computer game is on the line for someone who knows who fought the most fights between 1910 and 1919. Good luck to everyone that tries. Email me, Billy@talkingboxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
This day in boxing history.
And today's This Day in Boxing History is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you need a lawyer, call the ones that keep me out of trouble. That's Campanaro and Tomkovich, 845-221-4099. Tell them Billy C sent you and that I will pick up the consultation fee. 845-221-4099. On this day, March 19th, back in 1972, Rafael Herrera knocks out the great Ruben Olivares in the 8th round to win the world bantamweight title, and that took place on this day, March 19th, back in 1972. I got something to remind you about. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel. There's only one channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider right now and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. For all the information about the channel, visit their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.